Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing today? How the devil are you doing this fine day, should I say? I hope you're all fit and well. Trust you all had a good weekend as well. Spent a large part of mine reading, and I can tell you that 2 weeks into the new year, just 2 weeks, I've already got 4 books under my belt, and there's one that's about a third of the way through as well. So I'm doing okay. If I can maintain this pace, I'm going to hit my planned 50 books for the year before summer, which would be absolutely awesome. Now, speaking of reading, and I'm going to say a very quick good morning to all those watching over on Instagram as well. Speaking of reading, I've got a couple of things for you today. Obviously, today being Monday, I have a new weekly column for you. It's called Intransigence or Incompetence, and it examines how the UK government is ignoring the threat from large panel system tower blocks. Those of a certain age might remember the partial collapse of the Ronan Point block down in London way back in the late 1960s. Yet here we are in the present day. There's almost 600 LPS blocks still out there and in use, and the UK government is seemingly ignoring the advice of its own expert panel. If you would like to read that article, you can do so using the link that I've just posted in the chat. Failing that, just go over to Google and search for Demolition Insider. It's the lead story over there today. In addition to that, I've also posted today something a wee bit more personal, I guess. It relates to my dad and his mates winning a very high profile series of fishing matches to mark Her Madge the Queen's Silver Jubilee way back in 1977. The story actually has precious little to do with fishing, to be perfectly honest, but if you'd like to read that, then you can do that. The link for that one is in the chat. It's called The 8-Ounce King for reasons that will become clear should you choose to read it. Now, I'm going to throw over to the chat over on the main channel here. I'm just going to say a few quick good mornings. Dan Cullen was the first off the mark. In fact, he was here before I was, so good morning to you, Dan. Ken Hatcher has got the same weather as everybody else. I think his teeth are chattering down in Wales. Let's have a look. Who else do we have here? Gary Muirhead. Morning, Gary, who says, good morning, Mark. Good morning, gang. Happy Blue Monday. It is a Blue Monday out there. It's bloody freezing out there. Chris Ford is here as well. Who says, I'm as warm as toast in this cab. Best place to be. I've got the heating on under my desk as we speak. Glenn Johnston's here as well. Good morning, Glenn. Jim Turner is here. Andy Darvell is here as well, saying good morning, everyone. Happy sunny Monday. Yeah, it is sunny out. Still bloody freezing, though. Dan Cullen, who quite clearly is some kind of masochist, says, lovely and cold today. Yeah, personally, I'd rather be wrapped up in a nice warm blanket, but thank you very much indeed for joining us. I'm going to say a quick good morning to Rockbusters Inc., who have just joined us over on Instagram. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Hope you're having a good day. Now, without further ado, I'm going to roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. Definitely not having that. So bear with me for roughly 30 seconds. Sorry about that. I'm going to say a very quick good morning to Dave Paget down at Kent Demolition. I'm also going to say good morning to my friend Frank D'Angelo, who says, actually, it is very hot here in Western Australia. Another truly international show, as I'm sure you have gathered. Let me try this intro button again and see if we can actually get this thing rolling. I can only apologise for the spelling on the question of the day. We'll come back to that in just a second. If you are watching over on Instagram, by the way, please let us know where you are. We've already got people watching from Michigan, from Canada, and Australia. Obviously, quite a few from the UK, but where are you watching from? Love to hear from you. Now, where are we? Yes, it is Monday, the 15th of January. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, JCB unleashes the Digatron. We're in Lithuania with another satisfied cat customer. We're going large with Liebherr, and as our new short film on Despe's top-down way demolition system passes the 500,000 views mark in just 3 days, we're going to remind you of just what it is that the system does. Plus, we've got an explosive highlight reel like no other. Before we get to all of that, we're going to very, very quickly take a quick peer back through the mist of time to see what was happening on this very day in history, assuming the button works. And on this day, in 1535, King Henry VIII declared himself the head of the Church of England. We've all done that after a few pints, right? In 1759, the British Museum opened its doors for the first time in London. In 1945, the Manhattan Project team took the first pictures of a nuclear implosion at the Los Alamos laboratory. And we all know how that turned out. Yeah, Cillian Murphy won a Grammy. In 1971, former Beatle George Harrison released the first solo single, My Sweet Lord, and was subsequently sued for having done so. In 1974, the TV show Happy Days aired for the first time and introduced the world to Arthur Fonzarelli, better known as the Fonz. In 2001, Wikipedia launched, and on this day in 2009, a pilot called Chesley Sullenberger landed US Airways Flight 1549 on the Hudson River shortly after takeoff from LaGuardia Airport in New York, and then went on to be played by Tom Hanks in the movie. Now, before we get to the real meat of the show, let me quickly remind you of the question of the day, which hopefully, in this instance, I've spelled correctly. Yeah, our question of the day is, what celebrity or celebrities can you simply not stand? They come on TV and you have to change channels. They come on the radio and you have to switch it off. I've got a huge list of these. Piers Morgan would be top of it. Simon Cowell in close second. Michael McIntyre, Phil Collins, Diana Ross, Stephen Mulhern, Robbie Williams, and a whole host of others. Seriously, though, if I was locked in a room with Hitler and Piers Morgan and I had a gun with 2 bullets, I'd be inclined to shoot Piers Morgan twice. But what about you? Let us know in the chat. What celebrities can you not abide? I'd love to hear from you on that subject. Now, we're going to start the show properly. Just going to say a very quick good morning to Quattro UK, who have just joined us over on Instagram. Now, late last year, we brought you the news that JCB was entering the Monster Jam, monster trucks and stuff like that. Now, I say it was news because at the time, I was half expecting a follow-up statement that said, "Ha, you fell for it. We were only joking." But they really weren't joking. They were absolutely serious, as you're about to see. Yeah, I think Ken Hatter has just summed that up. Wow, he says, and I totally agree with you. Dan Cullen says, now that's a great video build-up. I totally agree. I normally save out the responses to our question of the day until the very end, but this one has tickled me enormously. So, question of the day was, which celebrities can you not stand? And we're in agreement, Gary Muirhead and I, on Michael McIntyre. Just cannot stand the guy. He's as funny as a burning orphanage. Yeah, that's made my morning, that has. Yes, I just don't get it. Don't get it. I don't get Mrs. Brown's boys either, but, no problem with the individuals involved. I just don't get it. But thank you very much indeed for that, Gary. Now, let's just want to say very quickly, I am due to be up at JCB World Headquarters around about the middle of February, actually. So I sincerely hope that somebody parks up that Digatron so that I can go and take a closer look in the flesh. We'll be right back after this.
If you are enjoying this episode, please consider supporting the show. You can leave us a tip at buymeacoffee.com/demolition news.
Yeah, next up, we're going large. We're going very large. In fact, we're going Liebherr large.
My name's Ian Birdsall. I'm an excavator operator here at Bengala. The feeling of operating the 9800 is very smooth, comfortable. It doesn't rock like a lot of the other excavators that are out there. Yeah, it's nice. What I like best about the 9800 is it's very productive. The functionality of the cab is, everything's within arm's reach and where it should be. It has very good visibility. The tech in the 9800, it has a bucket fill assist, makes life a lot easier when trying to fill the bucket. Training and support was excellent. We had a specialist trainer come to site from Liebherr to get everyone familiar with all the new OEM. Yeah, lots of maintenance support that came with the excavator as well. It was excellent. The future with the 9800 is very exciting to see, get into some really good digs and see how much dirt it can move.
Pretty good, right? Got to be honest, and I'm just going to throw back to the chat very quickly. We had a comment there from Dan Khan, who says, "Oh yeah, baby, she's a Rolls Royce of plant equipment, Liebherr." I totally agree. Andy Darvell says, "Just a small digger then." Jim Turner says, "Sweet, yeah." Honestly, let's be absolutely honest here. Excavators and face shovels don't come much better than that beast from a Liebherr, do they? Now, strap in, people, because our next trip is going to take us to Vilnius. That was the wrong button. I want... One of the things I've noticed doing this show is that if you make a balls up early on, it throws you off completely for the rest of the show. Happened this morning? I'm all over the place. Now, over the course of almost 650 episodes, 647 today and counting, over 650 episodes of the Breakfast Show, we have wandered the globe to bring you the biggest and best demolition and construction equipment right here on God's green earth. But to the best of my recollection, I don't think we've ever stopped at Lithuania. Well, we're about to put that right. Take a look at this.
We use all integrated 2D technologies. We use e-fence on excavators, payload systems. Our excavators use that day in, day out, every day. We added 3D systems that offers automatics, for all our application that we do. So we try to use as much as we can, and there's no other brand that can offer as many options in the machine as Caterpillar. Another technology that saves us a lot of trouble every day is payload system, because we have road control is really strict. We do a lot of excavations in one project and filling in other projects, which is usually across the town. So we have to take by on-road trucks. So if we didn't have the payload system, we couldn't measure how much weight we load. We could get in trouble with our government and get a lot of fines. So payload system helps us out every day. My experience with Caterpillar so far has been great. And whoever is thinking about starting their business or thinking about moving towards technology and whatever might be, I would say go for it. Don't hesitate. It worked out for me, and if I had to do it all over again, I would take the same route, no doubt. And I don't see other way to do it better and easier and faster and more accurate than with Caterpillar.
I'm going to throw over to the chat to see Andy Darvell, who says, good morning, by the way, Andy. I've been to Vilnius. It's bloody lovely. The old town is gorgeous. Well, it happens to be one of those places on my bucket list. And speaking of visits to places, first of all, there will be no shows on Thursday and Friday this week. Are you listening, people? There will be no shows on Thursday and Friday this week because I'm scheduled to be in France for a pre-Intermat gathering. We will broadcast on Wednesday as usual, and then I'll be catching a train into London before leaping on board the Eurostar to whisk me off to Gay Paris for a couple of days. In addition to that, in precisely 116 days, I will be back in Bergamo in Italy. Only this time, it's not work-related. I'll tell you more after this, just as soon as I can find the right button to press. I think I need that.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
So yeah, we were talking about Bergamo. This weekend, I received an email from those fine folks at EasyJet reminding me that I had some outstanding vouchers that were about to expire. Back in 2020, I had booked myself and my good lady wife to spend our wedding anniversary in Venice. But COVID had other ideas. We weren't able to go. So EasyJet have the cost of those. EasyJet had the cost of those flights. So rather than going to Venice, I'm taking Mrs. Demolition News to my new favourite city. That's Bergamo. I won't bore you with all the slushy nonsense that's going to go with it, but if you watch this show regularly, you might recall that the last time I was in Bergamo, I went to see this thing, what I'm about to show you. Now, I do need to dredge this out of my hard drive because the file is quite large. Bear with me for 1 second while I do that. Well, that's not good. I was about to show you a video that we filmed of the top-down way system over in Bergamo. Well, it was actually in Italy, in Milan rather. But for some reason, the video's not playing. I'll save that one for you tomorrow. What I will say is that we've posted a vertical version of that video over on Instagram. I think we did it on Friday. More than 500,000 views on it so far. Not entirely sure what's caused that, but always good news. As I said, my next trip to Bergamo will be strictly for pleasure and food, obviously. I'll remind you closer to the date when we're about to get there. As that one's not working, I'm going to hope and pray that this one is.
If you would like to buy a limited edition Break Fast show sticker, head on over to buymeacoffee.com/demolition news /extras.
Yeah, as Gary Muir had said, it's not your day, Mark. No, it really isn't. I do wonder, when I first started this morning, about 10 past 7 this morning, there was a bit of a glitch in the system, but it all ran smoothly after that. I don't know exactly what's going on after that. I may need to shut it all down and start it again, but there you are. That's just the way it rolls sometimes. Now, it is our final film of the day. With most companies, a look back at their 2023 highlight reel would be like looking through somebody else's holiday photos. Boring. However, if the company in question is CDI, Controlled Demolition Inc., the world's foremost explosive demolition company, then that highlight reel is far more interesting. So, pour yourself a cup of coffee, sit back, and enjoy this. Told you it was good, didn't I? Yeah, fantastic film, fantastic company. Controlled Demolition Inc., or CDI, all part of the Loiseau Group over in the States. The world's foremost explosive demolition company by a country mile, I would say. That's going to wrap up the main part of this morning's show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around, then please stay safe, stay warm as well, unless you're in Australia, in which case, try and stay cool if you possibly can. Look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. If you do have the time and the inclination, do please stick around because the Craic will begin right after this word from our key show sponsor, the fine folks at MB Crusher. Right, change the glasses. I can now see what all the comments say. I've got a screen that's as tall as me, but the type on it is so small, and there's not a great deal I can do about it, as far as I can tell. Now let me get some music on the background, shall we? We need a bit of monkey trap, I think. Something else that isn't working. Let's go without the music, shall we? I'm going to go right the way back to the very beginning of the chat. I don't know what's going on this morning. Internet connection's absolutely fine, but there seems to be a bit of a disconnect between some of the buttons and some of the stuff that I'm doing. Also discovered this morning, I've been pressing a button to tell people over on Twitter that we're about to go live. That's not working either. And apparently there is a disconnect between my Stream Deck, which I use daily, and Twitter. There's been a bit of a breakdown of communications there. So it's all good stuff, isn't it? So Dan Cullen was first off the mark. As I say, he's now in the habit of being here before anybody else. Good morning, everyone. Hope you all had a fantastic weekend. I certainly did. I mentioned the fact that I'm reading. Put that one to bed this weekend. That is called, let me see, there you are, Blood Meridian by Cormac McCarthy. Hard reading because it's a bit, the language is a bit 1800s, but well worth it. Fantastic book. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Recommend it enormously. And I've now moved on to all the light we cannot see, which I know is I think it's a movie or TV series, but I'm reading that one at the moment. And I've got a couple of audio books that I'm playing as well, planning to get through a few of those while I'm on my travels over in France. Speaking of which, just a quick reminder, no show Thursday, no show Friday. I'll be here Wednesday, at which point I'm going to jump on a train, head off to Paris, and I'll come back to that in a second, because I know somebody's made an amusing comment about it. Ken Hatcher is here as well, and he's freezing cold. Yeah, I put the bins out outside our house. We have a Monday refuse collection here, and man alive, it was dead chilly out there this morning. There's Dan Cullen saying his official good morning after the show had started. Gary Muirhead joined us. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, gang. Happy Blue Monday, everyone. Blue Monday does seem appropriate for today because my extremities are rapidly turning blue. Chris Ford, on the other hand, he's thoroughly enjoying himself, warm as toast in his cab. Best place for it, I think. Glenn Johnson's with us as well. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to you, Glenn. Thank you very much indeed for being here on this chilly Monday morning. Jim Turner's here as well, as is Andy Darvell, who says happy sunny Monday. It is. It looks glorious out there until you actually get out there. And apparently, not that I'm not expecting you to weep tears for me, but apparently the weather in Paris on Thursday and Friday, really cold, colder than it is here, and quite possibly snow as well. So that's going to be fun. I should probably take Dan Cullen with me because he likes the cold, as you can see. Yeah, a couple of things. My new weekly column on Demolition Insider dropped this morning. It's called Intransigence or Incompetence. And just to cut a long story short, those of a certain age might remember that a part of a tower block called Ronan Point, I think it's in Southwark, in London, collapsed back in 1969. Basically, the thing was made using a system called large panel system construction. And if there is an explosion, if there is like a gas blast or something like that, or possibly even if there's high winds, that can cause part of the tower to collapse. And 4 people were killed. There was a big public inquiry, and never again shall we use these things, and we must attend to any blocks that remain that use the same construction system. And here we are, 2024. There was a report 2 years ago that advised the government that we are still talking about this, and they did absolutely nothing about it as well. So that's the subject matter of that. The other one that I've dropped this morning, which is called the 8-Ounce King, bit more of a personal story, very, very quickly. My father and his mates, who were in a fishing team together, were invited to take part in a fishing competition in 1977. It was all the royal parks around London to celebrate the Silver Jubilee of Her Maj the Queen ascending to the throne. My dad's team won it, but that's not really what the story's about. If you fancy that, you can see the link in the chat. Kent Demolition. Now, Kent Demolition, Dave Paget. I need to check the diary, but I do want to be absolutely clear. My plan is to pay you a visit. It won't be this Friday, because this Friday I shall be in Gay Paris, but possibly the week after. And I'll keep you posted on all of that. Dan says the system's got the flu. Yes, it may well be that. My system has COVID, perhaps. Come back, says Ken Hatcher. I don't know. When this show is over and done with, I'm going to shut the whole thing down, restart it, and see if we can do something about it. Now, setting aside my terrible spelling, this was done in a hurry. Which celebrities can you simply not stand? I've mentioned mine. As I say, Piers Morgan would be far and away the number one, but Simon Cowell would be number two. Michael McIntyre, can't be doing Michael McIntyre. Phil Collins and Diana Ross. I dislike them both so much, and I will also add Robbie Williams to that list. If they come on the radio while I'm driving, it's not enough to change channels. I have to turn the radio off. That's how much I dislike Diana Ross, Phil Collins, and Robbie Williams. But we'll get to some of yours in just a moment. In fact, we're going to get to one right now. No, in actual fact, well, I'll do this one first. Michael McIntyre. Can't stand the guy. He's as funny as a burning orphanage, which is the quote of the day. Now, this is where Dan Cullen and I, well, I'm in agreement with one. I'm not in agreement with the other. Dan Cullen. Can't stand Ant and Dec. I think half my problem with some of these celebrities, not Piers Morgan, because I just think he's a grease stain of a person, but I think a lot of my problem with some of these people, like Phil Collins back from the 80s, like Robbie Williams, and people like that, is their ubiquity. You turn on the TV and the buggers are always there. And I think that's the issue that I have with people like Stephen Mulhern, and obviously Dan has a problem with Ant and Dec. This one I do disagree with, though. Only celeb I can stand. Sorry, I thought you couldn't stand. Keanu Reeves. In that case, we're back in agreement, Dan. I think Keanu Reeves is an absolute legend of a guy. Love him to death. If you haven't seen the John Wick series, do yourself a favor. Go and watch them, particularly number 4, an awesome movie. Ridiculous, preposterous, brilliant. Ken Hatcher says, wow, that would have been the Digatron. Yeah, the Digatron monster truck from JCB. Fantastic stuff they've done there. And one of the things I like about it, obviously, it is quite clearly a monster truck. That was what it was designed to be. And yet, you can still see there's a JCB in there somewhere. I think that looks fantastic. Sincerely hope that they keep that parked up at Utoxeter in the middle of February, because I'm going to be up there. Love to see that thing in the flesh. There's Dan Cullen on the same video saying some editing there. Yeah, they've got a fantastic video team up at JCB, do a fantastic job. Now we then moved on to Liebherr. Oh yeah, baby, the Rolls-Royce of plant and equipment, Liebherr. It's hard to argue with that. It really is. I mean, I'm a Liebherr fan. I'm a Volvo fan. I'm a JCB fan. I'm a Komatsu fan. I'm an Hitachi fan. But Liebherr, there's just something there, isn't there? Dan says, you get your steps in climbing that every day. You most certainly would. Jim Turner says, that's sweet. I totally agree with him. Gary Muirhead, yeah, I've mentioned my bucket list of places to go. Canada is the top. I'd love to go to Vilnius over in Lithuania, and I realize it's only up the road, but my wife doesn't really do cold places, so I have a bit of an issue there. I have no actual desire, and I'm sorry, Frank, if you're still watching over on Instagram, no real desire to go to Australia. But if I did, then Gary, you're absolutely right. It'd be amazing to visit one or two of those mines in Australia, see some of their amazing equipment. That's the one bit I would like to do. As I say, I'm sure Australia is a fantastic place. No real desire to go. Too many sharks, spiders, and snakes for my liking, particularly the sharks. But if somebody said, come over to Australia and come and look at some of this mining equipment, I'd be on the next plane out of here. I really would. Let's have a look at Graham Footy Williams is apologising. The postman arrived at the door. They see, that's the trouble with bloody postmen. They don't know what's going on online. How very dare they interrupt. Andy Darvell says, I've been to Vilnius. Bloody lovely. The old town is gorgeous. Love to pay it a visit at some point. Probably end up doing that on my own, I think. John Finley's with us. Well, good morning, John. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. I know we've got... not going to try and pronounce the name, but we just had somebody join us from Finland as well over on Instagram, which is always nice. Love Finland as well. Yeah, the 2D system rather from Caterpillar. Dan, your man, is a fan of that. Machines should have payload monitors built in. In this day and age, you'd think, wouldn't you? You kind of think, why would you not? Footy says, we will miss you very much. That's Thursday and Friday this week. And also in, I think I'm in Bergamo from the 10th to the 14th of May. It's 116 days away. You don't have to worry about it quite yet, but I'm going over there. Basically, I've come back from Bergamo twice and told my wife how fantastic it is. And now, mainly because EasyJet were offering me, I mean, I've got return flights for the pair of us and it cost me £10.22. Why would you not? Obviously, I'm going to pay for the hotel over and above that, but well worth it. So yes, that's what we're going to do. What are we going to do? Oh, I'm sure you'll find something to do, Dan. Not a problem at all. Andy Darvell, are you leaping gazelle-like onto the Eurostar? I am. Whenever I'm required to leap, which isn't often, but whenever I'm required to leap, I like to think that I do it gazelle-like. Dan, hardly being sarcastic at all. I don't know what's going on with that video. I mean, I could try it again now, see if it will work the second time around. Let's have a look. No, still a static picture for reasons that I cannot possibly begin to imagine. No idea what's going there. So I'll try that again at some other point in time. It's not my day, no. And as I said, it does seem to work like that. If something goes wrong, particularly if it goes wrong around about the time of the intro, that's it. I'm off kilter, and it all goes downhill from that point on. Chris Ford says, "Good job, you're not catching the train today." I'd miss it. I would definitely miss it. Footy says, "Have you got gremlins in the system again?" Looks like it. Yeah, looks like it. Dan makes a good point. Would love to see any new blowdowns coming this year. Now, I do know that we are likely to be scheduled 1 or 2 blasts up in Glasgow this year. And I know that because I know SafeDem are doing them. Don't know the timing, don't know exactly where, but they are doing some explosive type stuff. Chances are they will also be making use of the top-down way system, which I've completely failed to show you this morning. We'll come back to that at some point. The problem with that, and trust me, Dan, nobody is more frustrated about this than me. It's basically I did actually once try to compile a list of forthcoming explosive demolitions, primarily for myself, but also because other people like to see them. The problem is there are so many variables involved, both in the prep and in the execution of an explosive demolition, that it's just impossible. I mean, even if I were to tell you, and this is not the case, I'm just plucking this figure out or this date out of the air. Even if I was to tell you that on the 11th of May this year, SafeDem were about to blow up a building, if the weather isn't right, if the wind direction isn't right, if they don't get permission from a neighbouring railway, airport, road closure, it doesn't happen. And even if we get down to the wire and it's supposed to take place at 8 o'clock and the wind shifts or the weather conditions are wrong, they will stop. So to actually produce that list is damn near impossible. Wish it wasn't the case. Let's have a look. That's how it's done. Great music and video. Well done, all involved. CDI, I tip my hat to you. Andy Dover, good point here. The more I see blowdowns, the more I want to get into that side of the industry. You got any connections, Mark? Yes, I've got some. The problem we've got, which might actually play to your strengths potentially, is back in the day, most of the people that have traditionally done explosive demolition have done so having had some experience, often in the military. We don't seem to have that anymore. So we've got an aging population now of explosive demolition experts, and they are all gradually retiring. When you think about Dick Green, who has done an awful lot of those blasts, I mean, Dick would probably be mid, possibly even late 70s now. There will come a time when he will hang up his hard hat. So as it stands at the moment, we've basically got 2 outlets pretty much here in the UK. We've got Robinson and Birdsall, and we've got SafeDem. Now, William Sinclair up at SafeDem is about off the top of my head, about 10 years younger than I am. So he's going to be around for a while. But there is nobody really coming up behind to take their place. So if you can find some sort of apprenticeship or some sort of backing to actually get yourself into it, Andy, you could end up cornering the market. You really could. I'm going to say a very quick good morning to Forest City Demolition. Not entirely sure where they are in the world, but if they would love to like to let us know, we're going to give them a shout out. They are over on Instagram, Forest City Demolition. Let us know where in the world you are. Chris Ford says, great video. Hope they don't press the wrong button. Seems strange. They're demolishing wind turbines already. Apparently wind turbines, and it's not the turbines themselves, apparently. I think it's the blades. The blades have got a fairly limited shelf life of about 20 to 25 years. So when I was over with CombiLift back end of last year, they've devised a system of basically carrying the longer blades that are using, 100-odd meter blades, because we're already on the 3rd generation of blades for turbines. Dan is off crushing... he's pulverizing concrete, actually. That's what he's doing. Andy Dovell says, music was working. Gee, I'm going to hit it with a hammer and come back tomorrow, I think that. Let's have a look. So, question of the day. People or celebrities that people can't stand. Chris Packham. I can understand people are being annoyed by Chris Packham because he's quite outspoken and he seems to be everywhere. Diane Abbott. Yeah, I can see that. Bob Geldof, I have a bit of an issue with that. I'm a bit of a fan of St. Bob. Keir Starmer, yeah, I can see that. Gary Lineker, I'm with him on most things, so I'm not entirely in agreement. Johnny Depp, I think Johnny Depp's a smashing fella, but I can understand it. Whitney Houston, well, we don't really have to worry about her. And Bono. Do you know, I find the Bono one really, really, I find it completely understandable, and I also find it quite sad. I was, like 99% of the world's population back in the late, was it late 80s? It probably would have been. I bought the album, The Joshua Tree. U2 at their very finest, where the streets have no name and stuff like that. Fantastic, fantastic band. But somewhere along the line, Bono seemed to get the idea that he was the new Messiah, at which point me and Bono went in different directions, and I totally agree with you on that one, Jim. If he comes on the telly, he's kind of got to go, I'm afraid. Question of the day. Michael McIntyre is like a cucumber. Odd and a twat. Okay. Loads more, but I probably blocked them out of my mind, says Jim. Footy agrees. Anchor Deck are a pain in the ass. And again, I think it's because they are just too everywhere. I think at the point where they start doing multiple shows on the same channel, so they're there with things like I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, but they also do some weird bloody Britain's Got Talent, which consistently proves that Britain has zero talent. They just start getting on your nerves. Let's have a look. If you're coming up this way, avoid Ashbourne on the 14th and 15th of Feb. It's the annual 2 days of legalised violence. You either come for the football or the beer. That is about the time I'm supposed to be there, I think. I can't actually remember the dates. Have I got the dates to hand? No, I haven't. But it is around about that time. Dan says the only reason I'd not go to Australia, distance from friends and family and travelling, a long damn flight. It certainly is a long damn flight. Peter McKenna's just joined us. Morning, Peter. Good of you to be here. Hope you're fitting well, my friend. How is the Spotify list going? I think we're about 100 tunes now. Yeah, I think we're about 100 tunes. I'm going to say a very quick good morning to Steve Kerslake, who's just joined us from Construction Sport over on Instagram as well. Morning, Steve. Keep up the good work, sir. Keep flying the flag. Question of the day. I can't say too much. I don't think you would change me even if I was a celebrity. The only one I really hate is Ryland Clark Neal. He's one of the biggest tossers on TV. Yeah, bit Marmite, you Ryland, I think. And I'm not a fan of Marmite, so I can certainly see where you come from. What about technical demolition from the Wirral? They do explosive demo. They don't actually. They put it out. They actually outsource it. I think Robinson and Birds will do their explosive demolition, or somebody else. But no, I'm 99.9% sure that TDS don't actually do explosive demolition themselves. They put it out to somebody else. Peter McKenna says, "Sod's law. When I've been ill, I've been offered loads of work. Now I'm fighting fit. There's nothing." That's life for you, isn't it? Peter McKenna says, "I've met Chris Packham at Blackpool Zoo. He's quite a decent guy in reality." The problem, I'm going to say quick good morning to our friend Garrett, our wolf welder over in the States. Good morning to you, sir. Thank you very much indeed for being here. I think the issue with Chris Packham, I completely agree with him on conservation and looking after animals and all of that sort of stuff. Yeah, totally. And I certainly understand his enthusiasm and love for the natural world. But he is in kind of the nature world what Bono is to the music world. What my wife would call a bit of a bumhole. Dan Cullen says, "Streets Have No Names from the Troubles in Northern Ireland." My favourite tune. There is a, I wouldn't say it's an unknown. It's, it went out and it's very popular. The U2 song that really does it for me is one called "All I Want Is You." Very slow, very quiet, brilliant. Love it. Let's have a look. Jim Turner says, "No issue with Geldof and Bono musically or Lineker his sporting abilities. But when they start preaching politics and believe we should give a toss about their opinions, he's the very second I wouldn't piss on them if they were on fire." And that, I wonder when you get to that point. I don't think it's going to be me. Because, I'm talking to one man and his dog. Well, several men and their dogs. Speaking of which, by the way, if you were on the WhatsApp this weekend, what a fine collection of beasts you all have. Donkeys and snakes and rats. Lots of dogs as well. There you are. I've often wondered this about fame and celebrity. And in two ways. I wonder at what point you get to the point of fame where you think, I'm not going to go and hang out with the people I went to school with any longer. I'm going to go and hang out with Adele. I wonder when that happens. And I also wonder when you get to the point where you think, I'm a musician. I'm famous for singing or playing guitar or potentially both. But what the world really needs is for me to tell them about my politics. In many respects, I'm with Ricky Gervais when he was it the Oscars or the Emmys or the Grammys a couple of years ago, where he instructed all the celebs gathered in front of him, come up, pick up your award, and then fuck off. Yeah, nobody wants to listen to you talking about politics. We like you because you make good movies or good music. We're not really bothered about the rest of it. I agree with Peter, says Dan. Let's have a look. I'm a massive fan of Ryland. Top fella. Okay. Not my cup of tea, but my wife likes him. Peter McKenna, there's a lot of bum holes in life. Love them or hate them. We have to put up with them. Yes, indeed. Peter McKenna, sorry, Jim, you've gone way down in my estimations because of his love. Oh, excuse me. Because of his love of Ryland Clark. Theme tune, I really do. Northern Ireland, Harry's Game, the TV series. I do remember that. I don't remember the theme tune though. I'll look it up. I'll go and look it up, which is kind of what I do most of the time anyway. Everybody, that will probably do us for today. That's a bit of a wrap. I'm going to go and sort out the top-down way film because, as I say, if it's good enough to get more than 500,000 views in 3 days over on Instagram, then it is most certainly good enough to bring to you here on this show. I'll go and sort that out and make that work. Peter McKenna has just asked a question. Who's watching Ted, the TV series? It's fab. I enjoyed the first movie, never got to see the second one, haven't seen the TV series. Is it the same people? Is Mark? I've just thought of another one. Celebrities I can't bear. Mark Wahlberg would be another one. Can't watch a Mark Wahlberg film. Just can't. And my son, bizarrely, is exactly the same. Liam Neeson. Personally, I don't have a problem with Liam Neeson, apart from the fact that about 15, 20 years ago, he made the movie Taken. You know, I've got a special set of skills. I will find you and I will kill you and that kind of thing. And then he's made the same film about 15 times since. I do have that issue with him, but my son cannot watch Liam Neeson, and I refuse to watch anything with Mark Wahlberg in it. And to my mind, as much as I like the, what's the Scorsese movie? The Departed. As much as I enjoyed that, I think I'd have enjoyed it a whole lot more if Mark Wahlberg hadn't pitched up. Dan Cullen says, have a wonderful day. Stay safe and warm, guys. Good idea. Good advice, I would say. That's going to do us. That's 52 minutes of your life you're not going to get back anytime soon. So people, go and have a fantastic day, whatever it is that you're up to. I'll be back here tomorrow, and I'll be back here on Wednesday, but not on Thursday and Friday, because I shall be sur le continent. I should be in Gay Paris. Bile, says Peter McKenna. See you all tomorrow. Same time tomorrow. No flu in the system. I'm going to beat it with a large stick now and feed it some night nurse. Hopefully that will shake everything loose. Everybody, go and have a fantastic day. I'll see you all tomorrow. Till then, have a good one.